Previously on Mansa, episode 3.
Mogason's gaze turned towards a coastal village in Africa called Lamuta. Mogason summoned her minions, the Trigons of the Deep.
My faithful Trigons, the time has come to extend our reign. The mistress of the tides. We are your instruments, commanders.
Trigons took the female and male forms as they surfaced the land of the village of Lamuta, and they were to use their seduction, gifts, and finally sexual encounters to trap the souls of the villagers. The ancestral council watched with growing concern.
Mansa fights her evil father, Abomilus. In the shimmering expanse of the ethereal realm, where starlight wove tapestries of magic, Mansa flew, bursting with happiness after her defeat of Mogason, which freed the souls of thousands of villagers in Lamuta. Mansa's silver wings carried her effortlessly through the luminous clouds. As she approached the twilight, her senses attuned to cosmic whispers. It was a gathering, an assembly of celestial beings, and she wondered why the gathering was holding. With curiosity, Mansa descended gracefully upon a crystalline platform to join the meeting of the Celestials. But immediately they sensed her presence, they all turned towards her, and with their collective voices, they resounded. Mansa! We have awaited your arrival. Mansa immediately bowed, her wings brushing the ground. Why have you been waiting for me? Suddenly, the central figure stepped forward. It was a being of pure light. Its form was ever-changing. Child of twilight, it intoned. Your lineage is entwined with cosmic threads. Your father, Abomilus, has struck again, and this time he intends to take over the lands of 3 villages in Africa, including Onja, your village of origin. My father passed on a few days after my birth. He was a noble man, a farmer. That's what I was told by my grandmother who raised me. No, Mansa, the celestial being intoned. Your father is Abomilus, the god of the 7 hills. He intends to destroy every life in Onja and the neighboring villages. Of recent, he has caused a wildfire which has killed a couple of villagers, including... In that moment, the celestial figure turned to its right side, and Mansa saw a familiar figure. Her grandmother Nini stood there, bathed in starfire. Her wrinkled face held wisdom and hurt, and her eyes sparkled like distant suns. Mansa, her grandmother whispered, her voice echoing across dimensions. You've grown strong, my celestial child. Mansa's heart swirled with emotions. Surprise, joy, and a touch of sorrow. How could her grandmother be here? Was this a dream or a cosmic illusion? I've missed you, Mansa confessed, her voice trembling. Why are you in the ethereal realm, Grandma? Her grandmother chuckled. Oh, child, time flows differently here. I've wandered the cosmos currents looking for you. Mansa's memories flooded back. The stories her grandmother Nini had told her, the warmth of her embrace. Tears blurred the constellations. I thought I'd never see you again, Grandma. My child, her grandmother said, we exist in memories, in the chaos and the echoes of love. And now I see you. You are a beacon of light across realms. In that moment, an ancestral being interrupted them. Mansa, you are the key to stop your father, Abomilus. Your wings bear the dawn's promise, and your heart holds the twilight's wisdom. Only you can face him. But why? Mansa whispered. What drives him? He was seduced by forbidden knowledge, the central figure explained. His hunger for power has caused him to seek dominion over lands and realms. He manipulates dark magic, threatening to tear the fabric of existence. The ancestral being responded. Then Mansa turned towards her grandma Nini and said, Grandma, you told me so many stories about what happened in the past in Onja, but you didn't tell me about my father being a god. Then Grandma Nini responded swiftly, Yes, child, it wasn't time for me to tell you the story about your birth. I had seen this prophecy long before you were born. I had to make sure you were ready before I shared this part of your story with you. And that right time is now. Come, let me tell you how it all happened. Immediately, Grandma Nini's silver hair flowed like moonlight in the ethereal space as she held Mansa's hand and they settled on a luminous cloud. Her voice was like a celestial breeze as Grandma Nini recounted. Long ago, in the village of Onja, she began, the villagers lived in harmony with nature, their lives intertwined with the rhythm of the seasons. However, on a cold full moon night, their tranquility was shattered when a group of malevolent deities descended upon them. These deities were known as the Mbwiri, and they were spirits of chaos and destruction. They took over a part of the village, transforming it into a realm of darkness and despair. The once vibrant fields became barren, the clear streams turned murky, and a creepy silence replaced the joyful sounds of life in Onja. The villagers, led by the wise elder Nyako at that time, knew they had to act. So the elders sought the help of Abomilus, the god of the 7 hills, who was known for his immense power and benevolence. They performed an ancient ritual offering prayers and sacrifices, pleading for the intervention of Abomilus. And then Abomilus moved by their plight, descended from the great mountains. A battle of epic proportions followed, with the earth shaking with the clash of divine powers. The weary fought fiercely, their dark magic clashing against Abomilus's radiant energy. But Abomilus was stronger. With a mighty roar, he banished the weary, malevolent gods from Onja. Their screams echoing as they were cast out of Onja. With the defeat of the Mwiri, the villagers of Onja rejoiced. Their hearts were filled with gratitude towards Abomilus. With the departure of the Mwiri, the village slowly returned to its former state. The fields blossomed, the streams ran clear again, and the sounds of life filled the air once more in Onja. But there was a sacrifice to be made. The elders had promised Abomilus to take on any maiden of his choice immediately after he defeats the malevolent gods, the Mwiri.
So what happened, Grandma? Whom did Abomilus pick?
Mansa asked anxiously. Abomilus's attention was caught by a mortal woman called Lysandra.
That's the name of my mother. What happened to her, Grandma Nini?
Mansa asked eagerly. Abomilus asked the elder Nyako to give orders for Lysandra to be sent to him, and that she was his choice, the gift of gratitude that was promised to him. At that time, Lysandra was betrothed to a young man whom she had become fond of. But against her will, she was the chosen maiden to sacrifice herself as a gift to the god Abomilus. And so, on a dark night, where no stars could be found in the sky, Lysandra was taken by the palace guards deep into a distant forest and left behind a big mountain where Abomilus occupied. Lysandra attempted to run away, but the guards caught up with her. As Abomilus approached, coming closer to her, she was filled with fright. He kissed her, and she carried his divine seed within her. But mortal bodies cannot encounter such closeness with a god without consequences. Lysandra fainted from fright.
Mansa leaned closer. What happened next, Grandma?
After 2 days, Abomilus carried Lysandra back to Onja, and the next day, Lysandra woke up to a swollen belly.
Grandma Nini continued.
She glowed like a star, and the villagers whispered of miracles. But the god's gift was a curse. Lysandra's life force waned. Her body was consumed by celestial fire.
Tears welled in Mansa's eyes. Did she survive?
Grandma Nini shook her head. On one fateful night, Lysandra gave birth. The heavens wept, and the earth trembled. She held her daughter, a child adorned with the god's mark on her skin, a pattern of hope and tragedy. And in that moment, Mansa looked at her arm, which carried a strange mark, and her face suddenly sunk with mixed feelings about her identity. Then, Grandma Nini, looking at her, continued. Lysandra's last breath whispered a lullaby. She sang of stars and sacrifice that transcends mortality. And as her daughter suckled at her breast, Lysandra dissolved into stardust and vanished, leaving her baby on a bamboo bed. Mansa clung to Grandma Nini's ethereal form as she cried. What became of the child, Grandma Nini? As the prophetess of Onja at that time, I adopted her and protected her from Abominus, and she grew. Her name was Mansa. She possessed a great destiny, both mortal fragility and celestial power. The villagers said she was a reincarnation of her mother Lysandra. She carried her mother's legacy, the gift and the burden. That child is you. Mansa wept, hearing her story. Filled with all sorts of emotions, Mansa wondered what her father could look like, and in a moment, she decided to face her father Abumilus and save the people in the village of Onja and the neighboring villages. And she said, "For my mother's painful memory, and for the people of Onja and neighboring villages, I shall descend to earth and confront Abomilus in a battle. I remain the guardian of realms, and it is my duty to stop evil at all costs." With her final words, Mansa's wings expanded, and she descended into the earth, with her silver armor glistening in the moonlight. And then, Grandma Nini's voice could be heard disappearing in the space as she gave Mansa a last advice. "Mansa, do not use the chains of vengeance, but remember that love is the true power, the one that heals even the deepest wounds." And Mansa disappeared into the cosmos.